This is the topic I want to talk about. Basically, dieting for body composition and what's important and what's less important. So what percentage we should look at when it comes down to body composition. So first of all, the reason why I'm doing this is because there is so many informations around when it comes down to nutrition. And is this food good or bad? Oh, are eggs good for you? Shall I eat low carbs? Is keto the best diet? What about paleo? Blah, 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 blah. So if we look at science, we can actually see and focus on what's really important rather than getting confused by all the different things. So body composition, first of all, what does that mean? So body composition is basically the relation between body fat and muscle mass, right? So to improve body composition means that you are getting leaner, so less body fat and increased muscle mass. So that's the meaning of body composition. What is your body composed of? So worst body composition is high fat, low muscle mass, and then better body composition, higher muscle mass, low body fat. So how do we improve our body composition? If we look at this graph in here, at this image, more than a graph, as you can see, this big blue part is calorie balance, which accounts for 50% of the results. So calorie balance is basically also known for calories in versus calories out. So imagine your body being a bank account, and calories in are money coming in, calories out are money coming out. So the calories in are basically the food and the drinks that you eat and drink, while calories out are the calories that your body consumes as you do your daily activities and exercise as well. So you introduce calories into your body bank account by eating and drinking, and then you spend money, you spend calories, just, body functions, and of course, exercising. So if you want to improve body composition, which means less body fat and more muscle mass, well, at the beginning, it will be less body fat. So if you want to, in this case, lose weight, we need to make sure that calories out are more than calories in. So we need to create a deficit. You need to spend more money than what you have in the account. So you put 2,000 calories in the bank account and you spend 2,500. You create a deficit. This will lead you to lose body fat, lose weight. And obviously the contrary is true as well. So if you consume can be a tricky verb. If you eat more than what you burn, than what you consume, so if you put 2,500 calories in your bank account, but you only burn 2,000, you will end with a plus 500 in your account, which then could be converted into fat or muscles. So you gain weight in this case. So depending if you want to gain weight or lose weight, obviously calorie balance is going to be king. Nothing, everything else matters less or basically it doesn't even really matter. So before we look at everything else, we need to look at calorie balance. You want to lose weight, make sure you are in a calorie deficit. You want to gain weight, you have to be in a calorie surplus. Let me see if anyone, does that make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. So in your case, let's say, so your goal is to
Gain mass.
perfect. So gain mass means that we need to be in a calorie surplus. So we need to make sure that you eat more than what you consume, right?
Yeah.
And obviously it's very hard to know for sure how much you consume. However, we can track and we pretty much know, or we can track how much you eat, right? So what's gonna happen? If I am gonna say, okay, just as I want you to eat 2,000 calories every day,
Mm-hmm.
and you do, every day you eat 2,000 calories, and your weight doesn't move, so you don't change any, your body weight doesn't move. What does that mean? That means that there is actually a calorie balance. So you're eating and you're burning the same amount. So in that case, nothing changes. So what we need to do then is we need to increase the amount of food that we eat to increase. So we want that calorie surplus, right? So we want to make sure that what we eat is over what we spend in this case. So again, it's really hard to know how much we consume, or whether we can keep track of what we eat. And then based on the results, based on the outcomes, we know if we are doing okay. So if you are in a calorie surplus or we are in a calorie deficit. So body composition, based on your goal, it is weight loss or weight gain, then we need to adjust, first of all, the calorie balance. So pretty simple, eat less or eat more calories. So that's number one, okay? Then the next big thing here in red, it's macronutrients. We touched upon macronutrients in the past, if you remember. So after we look at calories, the overall calories, obviously what the calories are made from, it's gonna matter, especially when we're talking muscle mass. Because if we were to eat 2,000 calories, but it was, for example, it was pure sugar, maybe if you are, no, maybe if you are expending 2,500 calories and you only eat 2,000 calories of sugar, you will still be losing weight because there is a calorie deficit. However, first of all, you will feel rubbish because 2,000 calories of sugar will make you definitely feel rubbish. And then, of course, you will lack lots of macronutrients like fats and protein, which are fundamental not only for, of course, well-being and health, but in our case, body composition, so muscle mass. How do we maintain muscle mass if we're not eating enough protein, right? So obviously, after we look at calories, the second thing we should look at is macronutrients. So the amount and proportion of protein, carbs, and fats. But the first thing we should look at is protein, because protein will maintain if we are in a calorie deficit, or increase muscle mass if we are in a calorie surplus. So in both cases, focusing on muscle mass is very important, and protein is the macronutrient that is gonna take care of that. And then, of course, we have the health aspect, which is covered by the fats. So fats are fundamental for health, and we need a minimum of fats coming from our diets. Otherwise, we will struggle with many issues. So after you individualize how many calories you will need based on your goal, so muscle gain or fat loss, then macronutrients are going to play a big role. In fact, we have here this big red stack, and it counts for a 30%. So if you look, 50% calorie balance, 30% is macronutrient. So once we know the calories and we set up the right proportion, right ratio of macros, it's pretty much 80% of the diet success is going to be influenced by this. So we can stop here and we can be very successful without complicating things, right? Then if we want to go further down the line, you will see here that a 10% of importance is for nutrient timing. So nutrient timing is basically, simply put, at what time are you eating, and at what time are you eating specific foods. Like, is there a better time to eat protein? Is there a better time to eat carbs? Is there a better time to eat fats? And the answer is, there are more optimal times, yes, for sure. So if we want to get very specific, then we can. And, I can quickly go through for each macro what would be the perfect or the most optimal. I don't like the word perfect. Let's say the most optimal timing. So when we talk about protein, research show that basically you want to have a constant input of protein throughout the day. So basically, from the moment you wake up, you should be eating some protein, around 30 to 40 grams of protein every 3 to 4 hours. That's why we say, we should have between 3 and 5 meals. Let's say you wake up at 7 a.m., you should have breakfast there and then. Then you can have another meal or snack at 10. Then lunch at around 1. Another snack at around 5, let's say. And then dinner at 5. At around 8. That would be 5 meals. And then you go to bed. So as you can see, you're having protein every 3 or 4 hours, 30 to 40 grams. That will cover your daily amount, and it will cover the correct or the most optimal nutrient timing. Now, if we go backwards, we can also see that if you have to eat, let's say, 150 grams of protein per day, splitting those into 5 different meals, or having in 3 meals, or even in 1 meal, it will only make a 10% difference. So not a massive difference, but it will make some difference. So if we want to make things optimal, then splitting in different meals every 3 to 4 hours, smaller amounts, it will be more optimal, but only a 10% different. Okay, this is very important to keep in mind, so we can focus on what's really important, which is, first of all, the calories, and second, the macronutrients. So first of all, having the protein will have less importance if we're not having the calories. So you can eat enough protein during the day, but if you are in a calorie deficit, you will not gain muscle, you will not gain weight in your case. So having the calories is the first goal. Then we can look at protein intake, and then we can have a look at the timing. How often should you have it? How much you should have it? Then quickly, let's go through carbs. Optimal carb timing, it would be definitely around training. So we can start from carb after training is the best time to utilize them, because your body is being depleted, so you will absorb almost like a sponge, especially in your muscles. So your muscle gonna get the carbs straight away. You have a better insulin response, and it will help with muscle repair and muscle growth. Then next step would be to have some carbs before training, and that can boost your performances. Now we need to make sure that we, again, calorie balance first, then macronutrient, and then this is just a little timing adjustments. And it also depends how many carbs you have available. If you don't have many available, then you really want to make sure that in this case the timing, it's optimal rather than the other case. If you have loads of carbs available, then we can probably spread them around a little bit more freely. But if you only have a few, then timing can come handy and can make that 10% difference that we're looking for. And then fats. It's recommended that you don't have high amount of fats with a high amount of carbs at the same time. So normally it's good idea to eat your fats away from your training. So in all those meals that are far from your training. So let's say 3 hours before or 3 hours after, 4 hours before, 4 hours after. That's the best time to have fats, because they can kind of slow down the digestion, and they can make you feel a little bit heavy, and you don't want that before you train or after you train. And then here we have a 5% importance for body composition from food composition. So shall I get my protein from eggs, or shall I get my protein from chicken? Shall I get my protein from tuna or from steak? The difference will only be 5%. So yes, some protein are going to be better, but then we need to define what better means. But in the overall picture, then food composition is only going to be a 5% difference. So if we do everything else right, so if we have the calorie balance in check, if we have macronutrients in check, if nutrient timing is in check, then food composition literally only counts for a 5%. And there's actually something that you can Google. There was a guy who did an experiment, and he ate McDonald's or a Big Mac every day. But basically, what he was doing, it was making sure that the calories was right, macronutrient was right, I don't think he was following the nutrient timing. But it showed that basically even by eating McDonald's, he was able to lose weight. So this is where, food composition is important, yes, but only 5%. So you can actually eat McDonald's and still lose weight if that was your goal, right? And especially, I'd probably say especially for your goal, in your case, Justus, which is a muscle gain, weight gain, having food that are not quote unquote clean, it can actually help because they're gonna have higher calories. And in your case, having higher calories can actually help towards your goal. So because as we can see here, it's only 5% different. So sometimes if it's gonna help to get your calories up, maybe having an ice cream or bread, a sandwich, it can actually help towards your goal.
Sometimes doesn't fit.
Sorry?
Sometimes doesn't fit.
Sometimes doesn't fit, I know. But that can, this is actually something that I was trying to explain to another client. If you eat clean all the time, it's good. But then, you don't have the space into your stomach to eat clean and eat a lot of calories, because clean food, it takes lots of space and it has less calories. So in that, if you were to lose weight, then it's great because you can eat a lot and having less calories. But when you're trying to eat a lot, when you're trying to eat lots of calories, then it becomes hard. So that's where, foods like, I'm not gonna say eat McDonald's, but it's very easy to eat 1,000 calories from McDonald's and you're still hungry. While if you eat 1,000 calories of potatoes and chicken, it's gonna be a lot of food, right?
Yeah, right.
So again, perhaps in your case, sometime we can leave optimal food composition to the side, because again, calorie balance is more important than food composition. So if you eat a banana, it's gonna be 100 calories, let's say. But if you eat maybe like a protein, like a very high calorie protein bar that has maybe 250 calories, it's the same amount of food in your stomach, but the protein bar is going to have more calories. So this is like a trick that you can use to eat more without having to eat more food, if it makes sense.
Yeah, understand.
And then finally, another 5%, supplements. This thing that everyone thinks is super important. We spend lots of money on, but when it comes down to body composition, only 5%. They don't make much of a difference. So if we focus on the rest, we can make much more change and we save money. And so first of all, okay, let me finish. I'm gonna finish and then I'm gonna ask you a question, okay?
Okay.
If you see this yellow border around the square, I mean, this is not square, but do you see the border?
Mm-hmm.
So this is consistency, right? Because all this that we just talked about, it doesn't matter if we are not consistent with it. So if you have the perfect diet on Monday and Thursday, but then Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it wasn't as good, or, you know, let's say calorie balance. I want to make sure that you eat more than you expend, right? But you only did that on Monday and Thursday. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you did not get your calories in. So everything, you know, everything we just talked about is not gonna matter if you only do the right thing once, basically, or twice. So the more we are consistent on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, the more this is going to matter. Otherwise, the less the consistency, the less the results. So even before we look at all this, consistency has to be in place.